The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here's Brandon.
Welcome to Old Space Show. I'm Brandon, and behind door number 3 here is my companion, Russell McGee. Hi, Russell. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. Well, this episode of Old Space Show, the series of Old Space Show, follows the simian-tastic adventures of Galen. He's an ape, and he's got 2 friends that are astronaut pals as they wade their way through the futuristic Earth in the short-lived television version of Planet of the Apes. Today we discuss the 11th episode, The Tyrant.
To foil the plans of a tyrannical gorilla who is trying to overthrow the chimpanzee prefect and gain control over the human farming district, Galen, Alan, and Peter risk an encounter with Urko. Urko and Peter are forced to work together again.
All right. This one is directed by Ralph Senesky, written by Walter Black. Stars Roddy McDowell, Ron Harper, James Naughton, Mark Leonard, and Percy Rodriguez, Michael Conrad, Joseph Ruskin, and James Dalton. Our director, Senesky, did 7 episodes of Heart to Heart, did Dynasty, The FBI, Partridge Family, 6 episodes of Star Trek, The Fugitive, Naked City, and Twilight Zone episode Printer's Devil. And a lot of his TV stuff, unlike a lot of these other directors, were big stints, like 6 episodes, 5 episodes. Like he was stuck around for a lot of shows. So I think people liked him. Black, the writer, he wrote for Hawaii Five-0, SWAT, The Mod Squad. And here we go. He was on the Hanna-Barbera payroll, Space Ghost, The Flintstones, Mr. Magoo, Johnny Quest, and the Jetsons. So I geeked out. Guest star Percy Rodriguez. Now, the guy has an acting career, but he is one of the top trailer voices of all time.
Okay, so tell me, why did you geek out here?
Because he's the voice of the Jaws trailer, just when you thought it was safe to come out of the water. And he did some Star Wars ones. I believe he did the special edition trailers. But one of the most, and it's hard to watch. It's crazy to watch him act as an ape in an episode and not just think trailers the whole time for me. So that's why I'm geeking out about Percy Rodriguez. Is that why you thought I geeked out about him, or is there another reason?
Well, I wondered because he's also, like you said, he was also on Star Trek.
Star Trek, yes.
If it was
Nope.
The tie-in
Trailer
there.
voice. Trailer voice. Like he has got a deep, like he was used and abused in the 70s and 80s on trailers, and being a guy who's kind of a old school trailer junkie, stuff like that. Like I like that voice. I'd be ready to see a movie, and especially horror stuff. He got that horror voice. Conrad, another guest star in the episode, he was Sergeant Phil Esterhaus on 65 episodes of Hill Street Blues. Probably would have been more, but he passed away during the 83-84 season of Hill Street Blues. He had a lot of episodes where he was credited, but not in them. But he has a huge career in TV, but that was one of his most notable roles. Ruskin, this guy, he's another guest star. His career dates back to The Honeymooners. He was had an episode of that.
That's amazing.
He was on Magnificent Seven, Twilight Zone, Star Trek. He was Galt in The Gamesters of Triskelion. He did Mission Impossible, Bionic Woman, Charlie's Angels. He was Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Insurrection, Star Trek Enterprise. He also was on ER and Alias. So quite a career there.
A few things, yeah.
Yes. Dalton here too, another guest star. He was Greg Marmalard from Animal House And he was on V, Happy Days, TJ Hooker, and Spies Like Us. He was the main frat guy in Animal House, the Preppy Boys. So, yeah. So guest star galore here. I mean, this is high profile stuff with the Tyrants. What'd you think of this one, Russell?
The episodes just keep going and exploring things that are really cool. The thing that I liked here is we had setups where Abaro, who is the gorilla, we have a setup that goes back when he was in school with Urko training, where like he cheated on a test, and that's how he got thrown out and branded for like 20 years. But that's huge and telling, because like everything again has been set up in the world. We've not really encountered apes that are devious in this way, and so seeing a character that goes and is unethical is new and interesting. And they add that setup as far as with that background with Urko, so we're getting more Urko actually developing here too. And then we also see that pay off and how he as a character, Barrow, ends up like actually getting his seat as the prefect, because we find out he actually buys off the seat to be able to get it.
Yeah. No, and I love that this is a power play episode. There's lobbying, politics, good drama, political type thriller stuff. Like it's awesome. Like I was stunned that this was something that happened here, especially in an early, you're trying to sell an adventure show and you get something like this. I'm like, they're like up in their game here to like in the writer's room to another level. And this is the kind of stuff you love seeing in like your Star Treks, all that stuff. I mean, and this is, I don't think, we talked about early on, there's those like common typical sci-fi show episodes. This isn't one of them, but you can see it happening. You can see this kind of stuff resembling in other things, but this whole like trickery. And then I want to say this since we're who nuts, but this is where Planet of the Apes, so there's a moment where they could possibly be responsible for Urko's death, or they could take advantage of it for their own gain. And I was like, this is the Planet of the Apes TV show's version of the "do I have the right" moment from Genesis of the Daleks, like where there's this huge thing that could really spin the tide of the rest of their lives, and all this, like their relationships with Urko and everything going on could drastically change either way, like huge either way they go. I don't know if people watching at this time felt the resonance of how big this actually is in a moment, but it's a really fantastic dilemma they've thrown in here. And
no, agreed, 100% agreed, because like it's the typical thing of, in this respect, it's typical from the standpoint like you are putting your heroes in a turning point where they have to make a decision whether they themselves are going to be as bad as our antagonists.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. But because they're our heroes, we're like, yeah, dude, get away from the guy who causes us trouble every week, but not realizing like we need the guy who causes us trouble every week. It helps make a show. But yeah, no, it's really great. I think Abaro and having Percy Rodriguez, a voice like that, makes him instantly commanding, instantly devious. And he's not dumb either. He knows, like, he's like, okay, I'm getting played somewhere here. He's like, someone's playing me here. I don't know this dude, because he doesn't know Galen. So Galen comes in and he infiltrates it, saying he's this assistant to Dr. Zaius. And and he tries to like lobby here. And then like it's pretty crazy here. Just to watch
Abaro has his assistant go to Urko and verify that Octavia is actually an assistant to Zaius. And The thing, and this is an aside for me that I just think that Roddy McDowall got to really shine in this episode he got to play a cripple. So like his physicality work as an ape is something like we haven't talked about in general, but like dude did some major like movement work and everything as a whole for the characters and what we know of apes. But then here you get to see Roddy McDowall shine a little bit because on top of that, he's got to be a crippled ape and actually do a lot more movement work.
Right. Yeah. No, it's good. It's a physical transformation to really feel like he could have been playing just a different character too, but he really went all in with that. And I mean, this episode too is it's a lot of room to root, like, behind the scenes, like behind closed doors chats, but we get to see them. That's what this episode is. It's like chat here, go chat in this room about what just happened, all this stuff moving around. And then they decide, I mean, they take the bold move to go to the belly of the beast and go to Urko and have this conversation. Like, this could screw us really bad. Like, but we're going to go to him.
When you're saying they, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about like Galen and the humans. When they go to him, and Urko talking to Galen. He's like, "What do you know about truth? You chose to go use humans. Like, what when he's trying to talk the truth about this guy, it's like Galen did like tempt the guy with undermining Urko and trying to usurp him.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's doing that, he's manipulating that is besides the point. It's like the guy's capable of it now because it was offered to him and he took it. The guy could do it, like, so that's whether it's a setup.
There's a message, right, that like he sends where he actually tells his assistant to go and actually kill him. So that's the documented proof.
Yeah.
And when Galen goes and actually tries to talk to Urko about it, he comes in, and again, this is a Roddy McDowall moment. He puts on a different voice and he's hooded at first to try and like convince Urko that he's somebody else.
Yeah.
But Urko sees through that and finds out that it's Galen.
Right. Yeah, and this guy that they're tricking, he was just wanting to become a prefect, but now they're like, "Oh, you can have more power." That's where they tempt him with, because I think like he's up against like some humans for this at the beginning or something, because we get some aside human guest characters, but the real meat is ape to ape stuff.
Yeah, and they actually set it up where they're trying, like, what they offer to him to borrow is Orko's position.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. That's what. That's the idea. We get this weird little nugget of continuity where the KKK mask comes back.
Yeah.
Like they kept one or something. They use it for a scene of this, but ultimately Urko stays. They turn the tables on Aboro, and he's just like, he's finished because he's been outed. Like, he's never going to do anything to Ape World again. But our heroes escape with a fake ape grenade type thing that's never going to go off, but they use it as leverage to get out. But yeah, no, so much cool stuff in this episode. Like, just, I could talk about the conversations I have all the time for the whole, but that's really the crux of it. This is cool, meaty stuff where I think sci-fi fans can sort of overlook or not appreciate, because there's a lot of this stuff, and I'm not going to say it's like the best of all time, but like a lot of complaints in the early days of the prequels and when they were first received was like the political stuff, blah blah blah. I'm like, that's interesting. That's where this comes from. These political power play. If you're showing to where we got to with the Empire and stuff, it has to show political stuff. Like, this is like the power moves and political power moves. Like, maybe it works better on TV or something, and they don't want to see it in movies. But to me, that's interesting stuff. That's interesting moves. And like, it's funny because those prequels, they'll dog it because, well, I don't want to see the political stuff. But yet the Timothy Zahn novels, which always have been appreciated and stuff, that's the crux of them. There's a lot of good political stuff. It's there, like in his that version of a sequel type trilogy that people would oddly praise there, but not in the prequels. Is kind of interesting. But that's the kind of stuff on display in this episode that I really like, and it reminds me of.
Help me out here. because like there's two things I want to bring up is that you're talking about like things as far as modern sci-fi, and I would point out what they did with Battlestar as far as the revival series, and what they did as far as the political like undercurrent, as far as how that was a huge thing throughout that show. And what is it, Valar? Is that? And that's why I was going to ask you. Is that? Am I saying that right?
Wow, it's been a while since I watched that show. I love that. It's just one of my favorite shows, but yeah, I've only been through it like one time. But
well, the reason I bring that up is, again, they reinvent the character in the new series, but I was actually even going to bring up the original portrayal because, again, it's of this time period, and that character as a villain is more of a caricature, and like they do a lot more of that as far as like with villains, and like when they have political intrigue like this where you have a two-faced character. I think of also Lost in Space with the Doctor.
Yes.
But where I'm going with this is like with Abaro here, like it's hard hitting. They don't like it's an actual like realistic portrayal of a villain and somebody that's being duplicitous versus like what they do in Battlestar, the original series.
Right.
Valar.
Yeah, this is who villains the villains. That's what what we have here, which is like he's even more scary because if he can take down our scariest guy, then who? Like, oh crap! Then who could take down this guy? Because this guy's not even in power, yet. So it's really, adding a level of stakes, adding some dread, a menace above, like
a Phantom Menace.
Boom. Where? Fair enough. Where could this all go? I don't know. It's really interesting.
And like you're talking about all the different things and the stakes, and this is why I bring this up, is that like even when they're trying to turn things on Valar, they have our heroes hidden away in a closet so that the stakes are high because they could be found out at any time, and they're listening in on the conversation as Orko's actually trying to turn the tables and find out if he's actually going to try and kill him or whatever. And then you literally, with the bomb situation, the grenade, it's a literal ticking clock that you have as far as at the end of the episode.
Yes.
You use that as a device to like really up the stakes.
Yeah. And also too, new kind of costuming, the stuff that Abaro wears, that's very cool. Looks kind of like
Galen is Octavia with the red.
Right. Yeah. I like the action character variants, action figure variants that could possibly come from this. But yeah, no, I dug this episode quite a bit. It's really, really good juicy stuff. The meat is getting better every episode. Like that is, it feels like each time. But it's time to take our stinky paws off this damn dirty episode, Russell. Thank you again for coming on here. And until next time, where can people keep up with you?
Public Media. I'm the on-air promotions producer for WTIU and WFIU. And I also, for all your sci-fi geekery, work for Big Finish Productions on their Gallifrey series. And we got a new set coming out, Gallifrey War Room. So check it out. That's coming out soon. That's
for you, nerds. All right. #Abaro Nomoro. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at BrandForQHD, written work at WestOblue.com. There is more from the Brand Peters Show this week, including Jennifer Rayford and I discussing Toto's Rosanna, I think. If not, spoiler, comes later. But from Old Space, it's a mouse!
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.